And welcome back to Primility Primer, episode 006. I am your host, Jared Morris, and Primility Primer, of course, is our daily reminder of the power of balancing pride and humility in our lives. And what I want to talk about this morning is Jordan Spieth. And I don't know how many of you are golf fans, but Jordan Spieth is the latest phenom in golf. He's a 21-year-old who won the first two major tournaments of the year, had a chance yesterday at the British Open to win his third straight major. I think only one other person has won the first three majors of a calendar year. To give you some perspective, Tiger Woods won four in a row, but they weren't in the same calendar year. It's extremely rare. And what Jordan Spieth is doing at any age would be extremely rare, but to do it at the age of 21 is even more rare. And I was really struck yesterday listening to him talk after he lost, because he had made a charge. He ended up losing by one stroke. It was a tough loss. You could see the disappointment in his face. And what really impressed me about him when he was talking after the round was it was a subtle thing, but I think it was so indicative of the mindset that he has that helps him be successful, which is he constantly used the word we. We didn't quite get done what we wanted to do. We, had our mind set on shooting this number. We didn't quite get there. It didn't happen. We. And the reason why that is interesting, I mean, we hear we a lot with team sports, right? But golf is an individual sport. And yet here's this guy who's constantly using the term we when referring to what he is doing out there. That's the term that a lot of golfers would use is I, right? Say, I made this shot, or I did this, that, or the other. And yet Jordan Spieth is constantly using the term we, which to me is an even more profound sign of humility and respect for the people who helped make his career possible than if he even called his caddy out by name to give him special mention. Because it's when you use the term we like that, it shows that you've internalized, that you truly believe in the impact that other people are having on your success. And for that to come out from an individual sport like golf, and this kid, he's still a kid, he's 21 years old, who is just taking the entire sport by storm, really to me showed a maturity beyond his years that people many, many years older haven't even gotten to. Because in reality, it is a team effort. His caddy is extremely important in what he's doing. His family and his business managers are extremely important in golf. There's a lot more that happens than just the person out there shooting the shots. And so I think for him to recognize that, especially in this moment of disappointment that he had losing the tournament, I thought was just a great show of humility. But it wasn't all humility from Jordan. There was a lot of pride there. I mean, he was almost, defiant is the wrong word, but he wasn't willing to just act despondent and defeated. He was proud of what he accomplished, being in that third straight major, giving himself a chance to win. He just missed a couple of shots, had a four putt, and he didn't act like the sky was falling. He basically said he was very proud of what they did, ready to move on to the next tournament. And when you hear people who really know golf talk about why this guy is so good, they talk about his maturity, about his ability to bounce back from a bad shot and really hit a good shot the next time. I think he had a bogey on 9, or maybe a double bogey on 9, and came back and birdied the next 2 holes. And I think it's this primility that he has, this immense pride and confidence in his own abilities, but that never bleeds into conceit, because he balances it out with this humility, this team first attitude in an individual sport that I know there have been other golfers who have alluded to that, said that, but it's rare and it's impressive. And I think it's look, we all know from Tiger Woods that we never want to put too much stock or too much faith in a golfer personally, or any celebrity personally, because we don't know them. But just watching from afar, watching actions and listening to words, I think with Jordan Spieth, you really get a sense that at least at this point in his career, in his life, he's really got a nice balanced approach both on and off the golf course, which certainly seems to be serving him well as he just plows his way up the charts, up the record books in a sport with such a long storied history, and he's already putting his name up there with some of the greats in the history of the sport. And so the challenge this morning is simply to give someone else credit, and maybe someone who it's not necessarily obvious that they deserve credit. Maybe there's something that you did, something that you accomplished, and there were subtle, small, helping hands along the way who helped you get there, who you can thank. And maybe it's not even saying it directly to somebody. Maybe it's not even calling a specific person out publicly. Maybe it's simply in conversations or whatever communication you're having, using the term we instead of I to really show that internalized version of humility. Last night on the assembly call, we interviewed AJ Guyton, which was a huge moment for us. And many of you listening to this probably don't know who that is, but we're a Indiana basketball postgame show. He's one of the best players in Indiana basketball history. And I set that interview up, and I did a lot of legwork to get it going, and I did a lot of the preparation for that. But we did that interview, and that interview never happens without the combined efforts of our entire team over the last 4 years to build the site up to a point where it's got enough respect that a guy like AJ Guyton would come on and do the interview with us. So for me to say I did anything would be dismissive of the team effort that it took for that to happen. So I can certainly state with pride my part, what I did to help make that happen, but ultimately it was a we effort. We made that happen. We conducted the interview, and as people listen to that interview today, I think they're going to enjoy it. They're going to learn a lot because of the collective efforts of our team to put that together. And so I think anytime that you can today, whether it's referring to your family, referring to people that you work with, maybe you are on an actual team, really try to incorporate that term we, because not only does it publicly acknowledge the impact, the efforts, the contributions of others to whatever success you're having, I think just saying the words reminds us to have that mindset, to have that humble mindset, and to remind ourselves that we're part of something greater than ourselves. And when we forget that, I think is when we struggle, we try and go it alone, and we certainly don't maximize what we can do individually and the impact that we can have on others. But when we think in terms of we, and when we really have that mindset of humility, then I think we maximize what we can do and the impact that we can have on the world around us. Thank you very much for joining me for this episode of Primilty Primer. I appreciate it. I will be back tomorrow morning at 6:30 Central Time. We're here every day at 6:30 Central Time. You can watch that live, or if you can't get here live, you can watch it archived anytime at primility.com/show/007. It'll be another bite-sized bit of Primility breakfast, I guess you could say. And until then, stay cognizant of your pride and your humility. Keep them balanced, and it will help you in everything that you do. And I look forward to talking with you tomorrow. Wrist bump.